All right, guys, welcome back after that short advert break. Let us continue with our lesson. Now we'll focus on simple interest. So let's see exactly what simple interest is. I've indicated here that simple interest is interest charged only on the original amount, right? That's your principal amount due. Remember, it can also be interest that we earn, right? Then the interest remains the same throughout, okay? And then also important, when we work with simple interest, this is what I expect you to do. You multiply the amount invested or borrowed by the interest rate, and then you multiply it by the number of years. We'll put this all into practice, right? So multiply the amount invested or borrowed by the interest rate, and you multiply it by the number of years. Then let's look at our first question here. I've indicated that on Pile, invest 30,000 Rand, so that's your principal amount, at an interest rate of 12% for a period of 3 years. So can you see I'm underlining all the important words here. So it's 30,000 Rand at an interest rate of 12% per annum for a period of 3 years. Calculate how much he will get at the end of his investment. All right, so now it is simple interest. So therefore, work out it's 3 years. So let's start with year number 1. So if I look at year 1, what will happen here? It will be 12%, and I'm going to write it like 12 over 100 of 30,000. Guys, and I hope you have your calculators with you, your book, so that you can do this with me. So 12 divided by 100 multiplied by 30,000. So that will give us 3,600 Rand. So this is the interest he'll earn in year number 1. We agree. So now I'll move on to year number 2. Remember we said the amount, the fees remain the same, right? So I'm going to indicate again, it's 12% of 30,000 Rand. So that will give us also 3,600 Rand for year number 2. Remember, it's a period of 3 years, so therefore I'm going to indicate year number 3 as well. So what is the interest rate? It is still 12%, right? So it's 12% off, and the principal amount remained the same. That is 30,000 Rand. So therefore, that will give us 3,600 Rand interest. So now I will check what is the interest that they'll earn over this 3-year period. So the interest then equals to the 3,600 plus 3,600 for year number 2 plus your 3,600 for year number 3. So I can also say 3,600 multiplied by 3. We agree on that, right? So that will give us interest of 10,800 Rand. So that's only the interest that he'll earn on this investment. But remember, we would like to know how much will he get back. Of course, he must get back his 30,000 Rand that he invested. We agree. So therefore, and I'll write it here, the final amount that he'll get back, right? What will that consist of? It will consist of the principal amount plus the interest that they earned on this investment. So what is the principal amount then? That will be your 30,000 Rand plus the interest of 10,800 Rand. So all in all, Ompile will then get back at the end 40,800 Rand. Guys, I hope that's clear to all of you. So I started by calculating the interest per year. Thereafter, I added all the interest for every year together, and then I took my interest earned on this investment and I added it to my principal amount, my investment. And in the end, Ompile will get 40,800 Rand. Okay, let's move on to our next part of our lesson. Now we'll look at compound interest. So what exactly is compound interest? I've indicated here that it is interest charged on the amount due, but including interest charged to date, right? Remember, it can be also interest earned, okay, on an investment. Then, in other words, it's interest calculated on the accumulated, very important to know there, or the total amount of money. In other words, it's the principal amount plus any interest that you've earned or that accrued so far. Now, here's just an outlay of what compound interest look like. So how is interest compounded is what I look at here. The frequency of the interest added, and then calculation of the interest rate. So if you invest your money or if you borrow money and it's compounded annually. So the frequency of the interest added will be once a year, right? So you use the given interest rate. For example, 12%, 15%, okay, depending on what the context is saying. Then half yearly or biannual, right, is twice. The word bi refers to two, bicycle, for example, bilingual. So it's twice a year. So therefore, I'll divide the interest rate by 2. Okay? Quarterly, as the word quarter refers to 4, frequency of interest added will be 4 times a year. Therefore, I'll divide the interest rate by 4. Then we have also what we call monthly. Okay? So in this case, frequency of interest added will be 12 times a year. In this case, we'll divide the interest rate by 12. And then lastly, we have biennial, which is once every 2 years, right? Use the given interest rate once over a period of 2 years. Okay, let's quickly put some context to this, right? I know it's a mouthful, but let's look at it. I'm saying here, for example, if money is invested for 1 year or 2 years at an interest rate of 12%, so what will that scenario then basically look like? So if it is invested annually or compounded annually for that matter, the frequency of interest added for 1 year will be 12% once, right? But if it's for a period of 2 years, it will be 12% twice, right? If it's half yearly or biannually, you ask yourself, okay, how many half a years in a year? So here, if it is frequency of interest added for 1 year, it will be 6% twice. Why twice? Because there are 2 half a years in 1 year, okay? If it's over a period of 2 years, then I will double that. So it will be 4 times now, right? 6%, so I took the 12% and I divided by 2 for the biannually. That's how I got to the 6%. Are we clear on that? Then quarterly, that will be 3%. How did I get to 3%? I took the 12 and I divided it by the 4, right? As indicated in the previous slide. So that's how I got to 3%. And then that's 4 times. If it's for 2 years, it will be 3%, but now 8 times. Then if it's monthly, I will take 12% divided by 12 months. That's giving me the 1%. And that will be 12 times. And obviously, if it's then over a period of 2 years, it will be 24 times, right? And then biennially, it will be 6% once over a period of 1 year. And if it's for 2 years, it will be 12% once. Okay, let's put this into practice. Here's our challenge. I'm saying Michelle borrowed 20,000 rand, right, from a financial institution at an interest rate of 10% per annum, compounded half yearly for a period of 2 years, right? Calculate the final amount she will have to pay back at the end of the loan period. So what is important here? Principal amount is 20,000 rand. Interest rate is 10% per annum, compounded half yearly. What is the time period of this loan? It's 2 years. We would like to know what is the amount due, what is the amount payable back to the financial institution. So therefore, let's look at this, right? So it's over a period of 2 years. It's compounded half yearly. So how many half a years will I have in 2 years? Remember, in 1 year, we'll have 2 half years. Now, the first 6 months, thereafter the other 6 months. So we'll have, in total, over a period of 2 years, there'll be 4 half years, right? So let's start. So the first half year, okay, so let me write there, first half year, what will happen here? This is when we start, right? What is the principal amount? That's 20,000 rand. That's the money she's borrowed, right? Borrowing from this financial institution. So now I need to calculate interest. It's over 2 years' time, it's 10%. But remember, it's compounded half yearly. So what should happen with my interest rate? I divide that by 2. So therefore, it becomes 5%. So I'll say 5% of 20,000 rand. Are we clear on that? So let's calculate what is 5% of 20,000 rand. So that will give me 5,000 rand. Oh, sorry, not 5,000. That will give me 1,000 rand in year number 1, or the first half a year. Okay, so I'm going to take then the final amount is where I take the 1,000, the 20,000 plus the 1,000. So then here it will be 21,000 rand. Guys, are we clear on that? Okay, so now when I move on to the second year, right? What is the second? So I'm going to write second half year. What needs to happen now? Now my principal amount becomes 21,000 rand. How did I get that? I took the interest that I've needed to pay for the first half year and I added it to the principal amount. Okay, so now I go and I calculate the interest now. So remember, it is still 5%. So I'm going to say 5% of this time around, it's on the 21,000 rand. Guys, are we clear? Remember, it's interest upon interest. So 5% of 21,000, and I hope you are working with me. That should give us 1,050 rand. That's the interest I'll earn now. So now I go and I say, okay, I have the 21,000, and I'm going to add the 1,050 rand to it. So what is the new final amount? So I say plus 21,000. And the nice thing is you don't even have to clear your screen. You can do this continuously. So that will give us 22,050 rand. Now I'm moving on to the third half year. Right? I know this is a lot, but you have to focus and make sure you work with me. So what is the new principal amount now? Now the new principal amount is 22,000 rand and 50. Okay, 22,050 rand. Interest rate still 5%. So I'm going to say 5% of 22,050 rand. So multiply by 5 divided by 100. Remember, I'm not clearing my screen. So that will give me interest for the third half a year of 1,102 rand and 50 cents. Now I'm going to add it to the 22,050 rand. Let me write it down for you. So it's the 22,050 rand plus the new interest amount of 1,102 rand and 50 cents. Okay, so plus. So this will give us a new final amount, should be stop here, of 23,152 rand and 50 cents. All right, remember it's 2 years. I'm moving on to the fourth half a year. So this will complete now my 2 years, right? We agree on that, right? 4 half a years will give you 2 years. So what is the new principal amount now? That will give us 23,152 rand and 50 cents. Again, now for the last part, I'll take 5% of this time around 23,152 rand and 50 cents. So it's multiplied by 5 divided by 100. So the interest in the final part of this loan is 1,157 rand. Okay, let me just quickly go back. And 63 cents. Right? I round it off to 2 decimal places. Very important. We are working with money. So therefore, the final amount here will be, I take the 23,152 rand and 50 cents plus the interest, right, of 1,157 rand and 63 cents. So that will give me, let me add the two amounts together. And I'm going to write it here for you. So in total, the lady Michelle will have to pay back 24,310 rand and 13 cents, if I round it off correctly to 3 decimal places. Okay, so guys, I hope that's clear to all of you. Okay, let us quickly take a short advert break. After the break, we'll continue with inflation. See you now.